A very good morning to all my friends, teachers and honorable judges. I will tell you a story which was told to me when I was a little girl. Every time I thought about that story, it seemed to me to become more and more charming, and stories become better as they grow older. There was once a bright and cheerful little doll. Raggedy Ann was her name. Raggedy Ann is a rag doll with a red yarn for hair and has a triangle nose. She was clever, kind and charming. She was loved by all of her doll friends and had a throng of admirers. Raggedy Ann lives in Marcella's house and quickly becomes the leader of the dolls, and she is the most benevolent of them all. One day, when house cleaning time came around, Marcella's mother decided to have the house repainted. That's why all the dolls happened to be laid helter-skelter up on the high shelf. Marcella wanted to put them back nicely arranged into their spots. But as the painters were coming back early in the morning, Marcella's mother thought it best that the beds are piled up in the closet, one on top of another. When all was quiet that night, Raggedy Ann, who was at the bottom of the pile of dolls, spoke softly and asked them if they would mind moving along the shelf. "Please excuse me, the cotton in my body is getting mashed as flat as a pancake," chuckled Raggedy Ann. Although the tin soldier's foot was pressed into Raggedy's face, she was still patient and wore her customary smile. So the dolls began moving off to one side until Raggedy Ann was free to sit up. "Ah, thank you," said Raggedy Ann after she had hugged all of the dolls. "I've had the Well, I'll be glad when morning comes," she finally said. "I know Marcella will take us out in the yard and play with us under the trees." So the dolls talked cheerfully until daylight. The next day, the painters came to work. One of the painters, a young fellow, seeing the dolls, reached up and took Raggedy Ann down from the shelf. "Look at this red doll, Jim," he said to one of the other painters. "She's a sweetie." He took Raggedy Ann by the hands and dancing the while he whistled a lively tune. Raggedy Ann's heels hit the floor thumpty-thump and she enjoyed it immensely. All the dolls sat on the shelf quietly and looked straight at them, for it is a never to let grown-ups know that dolls are really alive and talking. "Better put the bag on the shelf," said the older painter. "You'll have the little girl after you. The chances are that she likes that old rag doll better than any of the others." The young fellow happily tossed Raggedy Ann up into the air and catching her. He was laughing and laughing as she looked about. This was great fun for Raggedy, and as she sailed up high in the air, all the dolls smiled at her because it pleased them too whenever Raggedy Ann was happy. But then, the young painter threw Raggedy Ann up into the air once too often, and when she came down, he failed to catch her, and she came down, splash, headfirst into a bucket of oily paint. "I told you," said the older painter, "and now you're in for it." "My goodness," said the younger painter, "I didn't mean to do it. What should I better do with her?" "Better put her back on the shelf," said the older painter. So Raggedy Ann was placed back on the shelf, and paint ran from her face and trickled upon her dress. After breakfast, Marcella came into the room, and she saw Raggedy Ann all covered in paint, and she began crying. The young painter felt sorry and told her how it had happened. "If you will let me, I'll bring her back with me and clean her tonight and bring her back the day after tomorrow." So Raggedy Ann was wrapped in a newspaper that evening and was carried away. All the dolls felt sad that night without Raggedy Ann near them. "Poor Raggedy, she didn't like our dear old Raggedy Ann at all when she was all covered in paint like that," said the French doll. "The paint covered her lovely smile and nose, and you could not see the laughter in her button eyes," said the Indian doll. And so the dolls talked and talked, but not too cheerfully, among themselves that night. The dolls saw that Raggedy Ann was brought back home. They were all anxious for the night to come so that they could see and talk with Raggedy Ann. At last, the painters left and the house was quiet. "Tell us all about Raggedy, dear," cried the dolls. "I've had the happiest time." The young painter's mother was very caring and loving. She took a rag and wiped off the paint on my button eyes. Then she took some soap and wiped off the paint off my face. After that, she hung me out on the clothesline the next morning. "Wasn't that sweet?" cried the dolls. "Yes, indeed it was. It made me very happy to be clean and new again." The kind lady also put lovely nice new cotton in my body. She sewed me up. Then she put new yarn for my hair. When the kind lady put the lovely nice new cotton in my body, she also put a beautiful red candy heart in me. The candy heart has special writings on it. It was written on "I love you." It made me smile 3 times wider now. She whispered to them all, "Never be sour. We have to try to be happy and cheerful in whatever situation we may find ourselves in. Every cloud has a silver lining. Don't worry if you are in a mess. Everything will turn out fine in the end." They all smiled and went to sleep. The end. Thank you very much.